Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Super excited to be with all of you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So I have two of my favorite people here on this webinar today. And many of you don't need an introduction to who Sharon Srivatsa is, but David is going to do it anyways. He's going to introduce our friend here.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. So real quick, I'm David. I'm David Mathewes. I serve Denver, Colorado. In the last couple of months, I've had the pleasure of joining REAL and partnering with Heather to start the Good Life. So it's been super awesome. And I'm so grateful for all of you that are here, took the time to be here. And of course, Sharon's here. And like Heather said, I'm going to do the quick intro, even though he doesn't need it. So Sharon, absolute icon in the real estate industry, president of REAL, accomplished entrepreneur, sought after keynote speaker, and he's mentored and coached all types of business leaders around the world. And he inspires us to reach our full potential by allowing us to learn from his wealth and knowledge and experience every day. So best of all, Sharon's our friend. And with that, I'll let him take it from here.
Awesome. Hey, appreciate you guys so much. You know, I have so much Zoom background FOMO and little jelly right now because Heather's got this awesome look and she's totally dialed it in. Sometimes I wonder if that bicycle is like, how big is that? Like it's so good. And then David, you've got this, this is so you, like you've got the whole halo effect going on, which is so awesome. And normally I have like a pretty decent Zoom background, but my DSLR is not working today. So you guys, it'll still be good because we'll jam on this. But thank you so much for having me. I want to say one thing. I appreciate so much the tactical and impractical trainings that both of you are doing, may it be email marketing, email delivery, AI, social media, etc., which has been so great because even if folks dial in and pick up one or two things, it's so powerful, and it also shows your depth in how much you know and how much you can share. So not only am I super grateful that both of you are partners with us at REAL, but you having me on. So thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Super fun. Should we jam? Is this so Heather and David are gonna look at the chat. That way I don't go crazy like driving and talking on the phone at the same time. But I have I'll try to spotlight here. You may. I don't know if you can, do I need to be co-host, David? I'm not sure. Let's try.
Let me see here real quick.
Okay, so while David's helping us out, here's what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you this idea of the social media money machine. And, oh, perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm going to pop my slides up to be a little bigger so you probably can see me. If you can see my big screen slides, can you just put a 1 in the chat so I know you can see my big screen slides and it feels good? Awesome. So good. I see a lot of my friends on the call. Great to have you all with us. Thank you so much for being on. Some of you were on with me like an hour before, so you got the marathon, which is super fun. So I'm going to take you to this idea of the social media money machine. I want to. It'll be really tactical, but I got to frame it for you well today. I'll give you all the slides right when I'm done, so don't worry about that. But I want to tell you about my daughter. So here's my daughter Laura. Right, my daughter Laura loves 3 things. She loves rainbows, she loves unicorns, and she loves Disney. Like she loves Disney. Like, just look at her. She thinks that she owns Disneyland, right? It's so wild. And the crazy part is, it's so wild because I want to tell you a crazy story. The crazy story is, did you know that Disney, like Disney Orlando, right? Disney Orlando. If you've been to Disney Orlando, can you put a 2 in the chat? So I'd be like, if you've been to Disney, like Disney World. Yeah, a lot of friends have been to Disney Orlando. Did you know that Disney Orlando makes more money per head than Vegas? Like, think about that for a second. Disney Orlando makes more money per head than Vegas. So they don't have, like, Disney Orlando has no, like, they have no gambling. They have no entertainment. They have no booze. Nothing. Well, they sort of, you can grab a beer, but that's it, right? You know, what do they have? Let me tell you what they have. They have a mouse. They have a mouse. With a mouse, they have done all of this. Like, think about how crazy that is, right? How crazy that is. And so we are now competing not just with Heather Connor and David Mathewes and Daryl Hannah on social media. We're competing with this guy who has 2.9 million followers. Like, that's how crazy this is. This is who we're competing. And if you didn't think this was real, let me tell you who else you're competing with. You're competing with all these people that you may like or not like. Maybe you like Joe Biden. Maybe you like Trump. Maybe you like Obama. They all have a lot of followers. You're competing with all of them. And if you don't like them, maybe you're competing with Gwyneth Paltrow. Maybe you're competing with Oprah. And my favorite, Jenny from the Block. You're competing with Jenny from the Block right now. She has 200 million followers, right? You're competing with them. And if that was not enough, of course, you're competing with the ultimate content machine that is Gary Vee. Of course, you're competing with Mr. 10X who wants to sell you something 17 times a day. That is Grant Cardone. And you got Tony Robbins who sells you a lot of stuff without even selling you anything, which is absolutely amazing. And then if all of that was not enough, now you've got these memes to compete with. Brady's done and he's completely retired. Now you got these memes to compete with. Or you have random people like Elon walking in with a sink into Twitter that is getting 40 million views. Or it's like, now this I put this in because this was a pandemic thing. Can we offer under list? Like, totally, you can offer under a list right now, which you can do, which you could not do 3 years ago. But I think the struggle is real, right? And if you believe the struggle is real, can you kind of put a 3 in the chat? Because I'm like, all right, the struggle is kind of real. We're competing with a lot of people, right? Yeah, we're competing with a lot of people. It's so real. That was funny, right? So I want to take you through something that I think you will really like, which is this one thing. So now during the pandemic, about 3 years ago, we were getting a ton of engagement on social media. In fact, this was our engagement curve. Like, we were getting a lot of engagement and then it's just started to drop. It started to drop and go down and go down. And I was like, man, this is not good. This is a real engagement curve. And I was like, this is not good. We got to do something. And so this is what we did. We did something that changed the nature of this curve, that completely changed everything, that got us from this going down to this going up. And what I want to show you is I want to show you this new system. I want to show you what happened right here. Because I think that if you just said, hey, Sharon's right here, everything's hunky-dory, it's not that. It was really bad. It was tough. And I want to show you that. So all of today, for the next kind of 25 minutes, I'm going to share with you this system. So if that's cool, can you give me a cool in the chat? So at least you know where I'm going with all of this. Just give me a cool in the chat. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's super, super helpful. All right, so I'm going to get a little tactical for a second. So this is called the social media money machine. I'm going to tell you about this. I learned this from several of the social media influencers I talk about. This is the underground secret that the mega influencers use to do one thing, is to generate leads and book appointments, which is what the business we're in. Like, we want to generate leads and book appointments. This is what we want to do. So everyone's thinking, well, Sharon, it's easy for you because you have a decently sized audience. I want to show you how to do this even if you have a small audience. That's what I want to show you how to do it. So here's the jam for today. The jam for today is I'm going to give you 3 things. I'm going to give you one metric you want to focus on. I'm going to give you some exact scripts and tactics. I'm going to show you what you can do daily. I promise you, it's going to get ultra tactical. So get ready, because these are the 3 things I'm going to give you. But whenever I start doing this, David and Heather know this, I always like to say, well, what are the problems? Like, let's see if any of these problems make sense to you. So I wrote down 3 problems, and let's see if any of these problems resonate with you. So if any of these problems resonate with you, put that number of the problem in the chat. So if it's problem 1 or problem 2 or problem 3, I'll tell you what the problems are in a second, right? Problem number 1, we feel like there's so much to do. Especially when it comes to social, we feel like there's so much to do, right? So this is problem number 1. Problem number 1, right? Problem number 2, we definitely don't have enough time, right? This is problem number 2. We definitely don't have enough time. And here's problem number 3. Man, Sharon, you're asking me to post on social. You're asking me to make reels. You're asking me to invest in a video editor. You're asking me to make content. You ask me to write copy. You ask me to post on multiple platforms. You ask me to do these lives. You ask me to do webinars. You ask me to invite people. Like, I don't see any ROI. I can do this all day, but I see no ROI at all. Well, I see it. And then when you do all of that, we end up asking ourselves this question: does it even matter? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Does it? Just give me a yes. Have you ever asked yourself this question? Does it even matter? Right? Because at the end of the day, you're like, man, I do all this work. Does it even matter? And so now you constantly ask this question, Laura. Thank you for that. So I want to give you this opportunity that I'm thinking about. And the opportunity is this. The opportunity is, I want to make this like a recipe. I want to give you exactly what to do. like a recipe book. Number two, I want to help you do it in 5-minute pockets, not 4 hours. I want to help you do this in 5-minute pockets, right? For $0. And most importantly, I want to show you how you can see guaranteed ROI. So you don't have to just work hard, but I want you to see guaranteed ROI. And that's what I'm going to kind of break down for you today, so that you can only do what's important by doing exactly what matters. So that's my promise for you today. All right. If want to stay with the Disney theme, so far, what kind of resonated or touched or like connected with you so far? Just give me that way I know what to cover. What connected with you so far? Just type it quickly in the chat. What connected with you so far? You're funny. David and Heather, while we have you, what I know you have the mics. So what for you, as I was going through that, what connected with you so far?
I was amazed that Disney Orlando makes more money per head than Vegas.
Crazy, right?
That blew my mind, actually.
Same, actually.
So crazy. My coach, I'll tell you the funny story. My coach actually told me, he said, every year, Sharon, you need to go with a hoodie, put a hoodie on, or go by yourself with a notebook, sit somewhere in Disney Orlando and just watch how they run their business. I thought that was really good advice, right? All right, let's get into the tactical stuff. So here is how you deliver ROI. Here's how you deliver ROI. There's 3 things that I want to talk to you about. Thing number 1 is we got to always start with the outermost circle. Thing number 1 is you got to prime the algorithm. You can't just, nothing works with a cold start. Like I can't just come in and put out a great piece of content and just assume it's going to do well. I have to prime the algorithm. It's no different than a Olympic runner warming up before a race. So the first thing you want to do is you want to prime the algorithm. I'm going to show you how to do that. The second thing you want to do is when the algorithm is primed, you can have access to people. So the second thing you want to do is you want to activate the audience. I'm going to show you how to activate the audience. And the third most important thing that I'm going to teach you how to do is you want to start conversations. Let me let the cat out of the bag right now. The most important thing in social media for your business is only one thing. Everything else, nothing else matters. Only one thing matters. It is starting direct messages. Nothing else matters. I'll tell you, nothing, because more DMs equals more conversations. All we're doing is we're trying to make sure we say, oh, cool, we're going to prime the algorithm, we're going to activate the audience, and we're going to start conversations. If we do this over and over in 5 minutes a day, you'll start to love social, not for the distraction that it is, but for the business engine that it is. So super excited to kind of share this. All right, let's get tactical. I've got 5 strategies for you. And of course, I'll give you all the slides, 5 strategies for you that I think will really help you. Here is strategy number 1. I want to show you how to create rapid engagement. And I think this will really help you. So I call this the rapid engagement method. So let me take you through it. It may be a little blurry, but I'll take you through it in a second. The most important thing. So we're going to go from bottom to top. All right, from bottom to top. The most important thing to actually prime the algorithm is stories. If you don't do stories, you're going to lose, because the algorithm is like, oh, Heather is not doing any stories, means Heather is not on the platform, means she's not active, means I don't need to show her stuff to anybody. The most important thing is to do stories. And then you may say, well, Sharon, what do I do in stories? Well, really fun. If you don't want to do stories, the least you can do in stories is to just share posts into stories. Even if you just did that is okay. Our job, I'll tell you, make it really simple. Your job is to have at least 1 story per day. Because if you look on Facebook, Instagram, whatever platform, if your circle story bubble is not active, it's going to shut it down. Let me tell you how I figured this out. My team had me stop posting on stories for 1 month, 30 days. I did everything else. I didn't stop anything else. I did everything else on story. I did everything else. I just stopped on stories. My engagement was close to 0. It shut down my entire account. I didn't stop anything else. I just stopped posting stories. My engagement was critically down to 0. And then in 3 or 4 days, I started doing stories back up, and it instantly started picking back up. That's when I realized the power of stories, which I thought were really great. All right. So that's number 1. You have to do stories every day. It can be as raw, as real as you want. If you just share other people's posted stories, that's fine. If you repost other people's stuff, that's fine. But no stories means no heartbeat of social media. All right. Here's number 2. Posts. People talk about like, hey, Sharon, what should I post? Well, it's your choice, but I'll tell you this. The three big post topics are education, inspiration, and entertainment. All right. Now, let me ask you this. Which one do you think will get you the most engagement? 1, 2, or 3? Which one do you think will get you the most engagement? 1, 2, or 3? We got a bunch of 3s and 2s, a bunch of 3s and 2s, a lot of 3s, a lot of 3s, 3s and 2s, 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 a lot of 3s. Okay, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. So the most important is entertainment, which means when I say entertainment, you don't have to dance. That's not what I mean, right? Like, not trying to dance. What you're doing with entertainment is you're creating a story. You're creating polarization. You're making it curious. You're making it strange. You're making it like, if Heather made a post that says, you should never sell your house, that's entertaining. You know why? Because it creates curiosity. Because it says, Heather said, don't sell your house. Like, that's very interesting. Why would Heather say that? It creates curiosity. Instead, if you say what all the other normal average agents say, it's always a good time to sell your house, that's dumb, right? That's a how-to. Or if you say something like, let me tell you the 3 things you need to know about earnest money. That's education. You think you're going to make an earnest money post and someone's actually going to look at that and actually call you? No, that will never happen. I will tell you right now. And if that actually happened, you're going to get the shittiest client, because that client saw a piece of information from you and you somehow explained it in such a dry way that they got excited about it. That's a bad client. If you get a client from a how-to post and an educational post, that is going to be the worst client you're going to get. And everyone will be like, oh, just stand in front of the house. In fact, I will tell you this. I remember sharing, masterminding with Heather and David, maybe like 2 years ago, and saying, we should all do how-to posts. I'm an idiot. I made a mistake. And I'm taking this back because I'm realizing all my how-tos get no traction. But when I say, hey, Patrick Bet David actually made $100 million offer to Tucker Carlson, I got 100,000 views yesterday and like tons of comments across platforms. That's crazy, right? Entertainment is really powerful. So you want to choose what you want to post. But I will tell you this, lean towards inspiration and entertainment more than the how-to, because that's what gets more people engaged, and that's what humanizes you in a lot of ways. The how-to posts are average agents posting average stuff about average things related to mortgages and earnest money and contingencies. Like, they can Google that. They have ChatGPT. They don't need you for that. When you're in the transaction, they need you for that. They don't otherwise. So we need posts that actually generate engagement. And that's why you will do more with this. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with me. Just look at your feed. If you made a post, just look at your feed. And if you made a post about your children, that probably got more views than all your other posts combined. That's very interesting if you think about it, right? All right, here's number 3. People have told me this a lot. They're like, Sharon, it's really hard on social media. Hey, Ed, let me ask you guys a question. If you have seen your likes go down in the last year, just literally your likes are just down in the last year, can you put a me in the chat? If your likes are down, just down, they're down from last year. Yeah, so a lot of us, right? Let me tell you why. Right? Let me tell you why. There's so much more content being created that what's happening these days is people are looking at their phones and they're swiping on their phones, and they see Frosie's post, they see Heather's post, they see Hugo's post, they see it, they like it, and they're too lazy to even double tap. In fact, I'm going to tell you this. Would it be fair to say that you saw a post that you liked and you just saw it, you're like, oh, that's cool, and you kept swiping? You kept swiping. Yes. Why? Because you're getting lazy, and it's fine, right? You just need to know that that's the truth, and it's okay. So here's how I think about it. I don't double click on everyone's post because I'm looking at posts really quickly. So I'm like, all right, so I like when I want to acknowledge somebody. So Hugo makes a post. I want to acknowledge Hugo for the effort in the post. I like it. I comment only when I want to connect with somebody. So Heather makes a post. I want to connect with Heather. I want to hopefully generate a conversation with Heather. I want to generate a dialogue with Heather. So I will comment, and I don't want to just put an emoji in my comment. If I want to connect with her, I want to say, oh, Heather, that was insane. Like, that was so insightful that you did that. I miss hanging out with you. I'd love to catch up soon. If I did that in a comment, in a sea of other terrible comments, Heather's going to see my comment, and then she's going to reply. And then we get a chance to actually connect, which is really good. Right? And the third, I only share a post that I want to promote. If I want to promote something, I want to promote this training that David and Heather were doing, I shared it. I want to promote a post that I did, the hitting the 10,000 agents is real. I share it. When you want to promote somebody, maybe a friend launched a book and you want to promote it for them, you hit share. I think very quickly when I go through the post, I'm like, hey, do I want to acknowledge someone? Do I want to connect with someone? Or do I want to promote someone? That determines whether I like, comment, or share. So I call this the LCS. I hope, was that like, give me LCS in the chat if you're like, okay, that actually gives me a method for me to actually want to do something. Cool. Awesome. By the way, it doesn't have to be right. It's totally fine. It's just like gives you a way to do something, right? It's good. It's like, oh, I know what I'm doing right now. But most importantly, the reason we're doing all of this is to start DMs. If you can start one direct message per day, I'm going to tell you right now, if you can start one direct message per day and you only did this for 30 days and you stopped and you didn't do any more direct messages, if you did it for 30 days, you're not going to have to prospect for business for the rest of the year, because you're going to do on day one, you're going to have one message. On day two, you're going to have two conversations. On day three, you're going to have three, and this one's going to drop off. On day four, you're going to have four, and this one's going to probably drop off. On the day four, you're going to have five, and then they're going to introduce you to someone else, and now you have six. It'll keep going, right? But the problem is we won't commit to doing one DM a day. That's the problem. So we got to find, like, if you took nothing away from today and you just took this, I want you to realize all of this, all roads lead to one DM a day. If you don't do that, then it doesn't work. All right, Hugo asked a good question. He said, how do you actually start the DM? Hugo, stay with the thought. I'll show you exactly how to do it in a second. All right, so super good. Heather, David, anything you want to share on this one?
I think that what was really impactful, I've seen you say this before, and of course I ignored it because I knew better than you, but I learned I didn't, is the DMs it's amazing. People will respond to you, and when you're following that LCS method of deciding how you want to interact, the engagement goes way up instead of just liking everything. Yeah, totally. And I'll tell you this, old school 10 years ago was, hey, how do I get more conversations? Make more calls, right? Today's make more calls is start more DMs. Nobody wants to get on the phone with you. Like, if your coach is telling you to make more calls, I'm sorry, you try calling me. I don't even answer my calls for my wife. I'm not answering your call, right? And if you give me a voicemail, I'm like, oh my God, I have to listen to this voicemail. Like, I don't want to. Nobody wants to, right? So the interesting part is the DMs are today's make more calls, and the more conversations you can start, the easier it is, because it keeps people in the flow of conversation. All right, that's cool. Here's number two. I want to show you very quickly how to win the stories game. I want to go pretty fast on this one because I have three more really tactical things to show you. So I want to show you how to win the stories game. All right. Stories. If you are not familiar with, like, no one ever taught us. My son Neil's 7 years old. All right. He's got this figured out. He has no problem asking for help on things that he doesn't know how to do. And if you think about it, it makes sense, right? Neil's 7. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Neil's 11. Good catch, Marianne. Neil's 11. My daughter Laura's 7, right? He's 11 years old, and he asks questions. He's like, Dad, what are taxes? Dad, where is Antarctica a continent? Like, he doesn't know. Dad, can I get a lesson on this? He doesn't know, right? He's asking questions. But as adults, we just assume that we should know everything. And I don't understand why. So if I have never been taught how to water ski, how should I know how to water ski? If David's never been taught how to, do a bobsled, I'm sorry, like, he's going to jump with head first into a tin can. Like, he has no idea how. I'm sorry, do you know how to bobsled? That would be really weird if you did. It's my one skill, Sharon.
That's awesome. That's awesome, right? So here's the interesting part, right? I don't think any of us have been taught how to do stories. And I learned this, by the way, I didn't figure this out. I learned this from my friend who is a product manager at Instagram. He taught me this. So he's like, hey, this is how the algorithm works on how stories work. So let me tell you how this works. Shares. All the shares means is that you see a post that you like and you should share it. You can either share your post or you can share others' posts, but it keeps the stories alive. But you have to do this daily, right? Second, this idea of backstage. what you want backstage is the folks that, you don't want to put a picture of your burger on your feed. Like, you don't want to do that, because what's on your feed is like window shopping. Like if you were walking on Rodeo Drive, you will not see a burger there. Like, that's weird, right? You will see something good that is in the showcase or in the front window, right? So that's what the feed is for. But backstage, you can do anything that you want on stories for two reasons. One, it's already accepted to be informal. And the second, it disappears in 24 hours, so no one cares anyway, so you can test it. And I think about backstaging as, how do I make grandma proud or grandpa proud? Here's what I mean by that. Making grandpa proud is, if my grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, what do they want to know? Like when I call my mom, let me tell you what when I call my grandma, let me tell you what she tells me. She's like, literally, she says, hey, what'd you eat for dinner today? Or what'd you eat for lunch yesterday? Like that, my grandma asks me about basic stuff. And it would mean a lot to my grandma if I posted a picture of the burger. It would mean a lot to my grandma if I posted a picture of, David and Heather and I jumping into a bobsled. It would mean a lot because they're like, oh my gosh, I see what my grandson's doing. This is really cool. So all the backstage stuff is really interesting. And when I say environmental trigger, is as soon as something happens backstage, you ask yourself the question, hey, would my grandma or grandpa or my mom or uncle or aunt like this? That's what you post backstage. It's totally cool because it's really mundane. The more mundane, the better. If you actually follow me on stories, I'll post pictures of me and my daughter, or me and my son. Oh, I just froze. That's a good look on me right there. Oh, there we go. I'm back. And I'll say, I'll make a quote that says, strong fathers, strong daughters, or something like that. But I post pictures of like really mundane stuff. But the mundane stuff doesn't go on my feed. Mundane stuff's all backstage, right? And the last but not least is all the Q&A stuff. The Q&A stuff is questions that you get asked. So you can ask a question that says, hey, do you prefer homes with views or homes without view? Or like, do you prefer ocean views or garden views? Right? And you would do a poll, ocean views, or you would do ocean views or garden views, and you do a poll. That's really good, because now what you're telling people is you're getting them to engage in something. So literally using tools, stickers, polls are really powerful. So I always think about this. Am I sharing somebody else's posts, or am I doing something backstage, or am I doing a Q&A to engage with the audience? So if I asked you this, it's called this 1, 2, and 3. Which one do you think is most like you? Which one do you think feels like, if you did stories, is most like you? So we got a couple of 1s, a couple of 3s, Q&A, good. 1s, a lot of 1s. 1s and 3s. None of you want to make grandpa proud. All right, we got a couple of 2s. Thank you. 1 and 2. All right. So whatever is your jam, though, right? Whatever is your jam, just stick to it. So if you're a backstage kind of person, that's cool. Just do more backstage stuff, and people will come to appreciate that. That's what they see in your stories. That's totally fine. Like, I'm a big part of what I do. I'll tell you what I do. I do a lot of shares. Like, I have a lot of my friends are doing very cool things at Real or not, and they will tag me. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so great. So I'll share it to promote them because it's a really powerful thing. So I do a lot of 1 because that's my jam. All right, cool. Let's get to number 3. If you were not paying attention, this is probably a good time to pay attention. All right, probably a good time. Tactical stuff. I'm going to give you this framework. I've taught this before, but I'm going to give you this framework to explain how you want to make social media a real money machine for you. Remember this: the entire goal of doing number 1, the tide riser, number 2, the overachiever, and number 3, the hand raiser, is to actually get only one thing. The goal is a DM. No DM, no social. If you don't want to do DMs, do not get on social. Like, you cannot complain that your social is not working if you don't focus on DMs. All right. So number 1, I'm going to talk to you about the tide riser. The tide riser, let me tell you exactly how it works. So a tide riser is, so let's say, here are the waves. It's a really bad wave, but here are the waves, right? Our job is to suddenly post something right here so that the wave starts to go here. And this is, and this is the number of people in your audience. So right now, maybe there's 100 people that are seeing your stuff, but when I raise the tide, 400 people see my stuff. I want to find a way to raise the tide, right? Yes, Hassan, DMs can be video and text, but I'd suggest you start with text because video messages freak people out when you instantly put them in. You want to start with text as well. We'll go through that in a second, right? So the tide riser. So let me show you how a tide riser works. So this is a tide riser. This is from me, as you can tell. The tide riser says, hey, what is one thing you do when you get stressed? By the way, you're like, Sharon, that's just dumb. Who cares about that? It's got nothing to do with real estate. It's got nothing to do with me being a platinum award agent. Like, no one cares about your platinum award, right? What you want to do is you want to rise the tide, which means you want to get as much engagement in this post as possible. This post got 81 comments in 24 hours, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to post something that is so easy and so dumb that somebody can respond. Like, look at this guy. He says, what do you do when you get stressed? I stop talking. Interesting, right? So what I'm doing there is right now my feed has got no action. But now when I have 81 messages, 81 comments on this one post, now my entire feed is vibrating at a completely different level. This is super important, right? This, call this the X, the delta is super important. So if this makes sense, can you just put an X in the chat if this makes sense that, hey, I see why you're doing this? Cool, right? Now you may say, all right, Sharon, give me some more examples. Does this stuff actually even work? I'll give you a couple more examples, right? Check this out. This is what I posted. This is me. I posted, hey, do you think people judge you based on the type of car you drive? I got 104 comments. This is just Facebook. I got 104 comments on my personal page in under 24 hours, right? 104 comments in 24 hours. My friend, 6 hours later, he didn't even change like the color. He literally 6 hours later, he says, what does the car you drive say about you? Right? And he got 78 comments on the same message 24 hours later. My point is, it works. It works, right? You got to just see and keep, but you got to keep it really, really simple. Really simple. All right. So that's that. Now this is number 2 of our triangle, the overachiever. This is where you talk a little bit about your business in some way, but you get people to identify themselves and you want to find the overachievers in the group. All right. So this is a good overachiever post. So this is my friend Leo Chan posted this. Leo said, hey, who here owns an Airbnb? You're not going to get a lot of posts. It's just 20 comments, right? But look at this one. Our friend Luca Andrews says, I just bought one yesterday. Wouldn't you want to know that someone in your friends actually bought an Airbnb yesterday? Because I will tell you this. Nobody buys one Airbnb. That's like no one eats one Dorito. Like you can't eat one Dorito. Like you will eat more, right? So this is a good overachiever question because Luke is like, wait a minute, I bought it. I want to show off that I bought it. Right? It's super, super interesting. I want to show off that I bought it. It's super cool, right? So having an overachiever post is good because it allows you to pluck off people in the people in your audience that want you to do so, or one Cheeto. That's exactly right. Oh, sorry, I forgot the whole Cheeto thing. Miss Heather, it's so funny. Heather loves Cheetos, which is good. It's good. You just own it. I love it. This is great, right? And so I'll tell you this. Have you heard this thing that says you're only one funnel away? Have you ever heard that? People talk about this. Hey, you're only one funnel away. You're only one house away. You're only one deal away. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, come on, right? This marketing funnel, they're like, oh, you're going to get a visitor. You're going to make that person a lead. Then you're going to get an MQL. Then you're going to get a sales qualified lead. Then you're going to get a customer. Then you're going to get a referral. Then you get some loyalty. They're like, are you kidding? If you could do this, you'd be Russell Brunson. There's insane complexity to all of this. It's a nice, cool thing to say, but none of us can do this. What I want to show you is, I want to reduce complexity. I want to show you where you need no funnel software. I want to show you where you need no landing pages. I want to show you where you need no Zapier. By the way, do you know the king of Zapier? I'll tell you the king of Zapier. King of Zapier is David Mathewes.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, it's so good. David sent me a question the other day about like the Zaps, and I'm like, I'm actually pretty good at the Zapier stuff. I'm way nerdy. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I don't understand anything that you're saying. He's so good at it, which is what makes him ultra efficient, which is awesome. No CRM automation, no ads, no copy, no retargeting, and no email sequences. There is no way you can build a funnel without any of this stuff, right? I want to give you a different funnel. This is our social funnel. The social funnel is really simple. This is what it works. Hugo, you asked about this, which is first you do a social post, like a tide riser, an overachiever, or a different kind of post. You get some comments, and then you start a DM, because now you're in conversation, and this is the new calling. All right, so think about this. No landing pages, no Zapier, nothing. You just get comments, so now you get engagement, and because of the engagement, you actually get a conversation, right? And now you win. This is the easiest funnel to do, which is super, super fun. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. This is called the hand raiser. All right, the hand raiser is this from my friend Aaron LeBauer. Aaron's a super smart guy. He said, check out what he did. He's like, hey, I just put together 28 of my best performing marketing emails for our platinum marketing members. Do you want a copy? And look at all of this. This person says yes. And what does Aaron say? Just sent you a DM with the details. What is he trying to do? Start a DM. But it's not, he's not just randomly like sliding into Heather's DM and saying, yo, like that would be weird. You can't do that, right? You can't, yeah, you'd freak Heather out. She'd be like, would you like a Cheeto? Like that would be weird. Like you can't do that, right? So you got to offer something. And when they say yes, you deliver it on DM. And now you have a way to handle a conversation. I'll give you a couple more examples. Look at this post. This post is my friend Richmond. And he's like, I just created a brand new training that teaches and actually demonstrates my 5-step questioning framework to break limiting beliefs. Who wants a copy? Right? Check this out. Hey, yes. Oh, sent you a PM, which is a private message, right? 395 comments on that post. Like he's printing leads. Check out this. This is my good friend Taki Moore. Taki's like, free download. How to repurpose content and get new clients with a weekly client machine. Do you want the link? Yes. And what is Taki going to do? DM, right? This is really good. I want you to see this, right? And what I want you to see is I want you to see something really important. I just created is a great way to start something. Who wants a copy? Free download, want the link. So for example, free download, how to buy a home in today's market without putting any money down. Do you want the link? Right? Or if you use this, I just created a video for my clients on how to actually stage their home by using IKEA furniture. Who wants a copy? Right? You want to get the beginning and the end. I just created blah, blah, blah. Do you want a copy? Or free download, want a copy. When you do that, it instantly activates people to want them to do something with you. So I wanted to show you like stuff that's really working. Like even on this one, right? I just put together blah, 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 want a copy. Same format, right? Once you do that, what it does is here's the interesting part. This shows newness. Hey, I just put something together. Do you want it? I just baked cookies. Do you want one? It's very human, right? Don't just say, my buyer told my seller. No one knows about your buyer and your seller. Like, don't say dumb stuff. Like, no one wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I'm a seller. Someone's going to talk to me. And even the seller doesn't know that they're a seller. Do you understand that, right? Like, a seller doesn't identify with the word seller. They don't wake up and say, I'm a seller. A buyer doesn't wake up and say, I'm a buyer. They don't do that. So we label them with words that they don't even know what they are. And so we say dumb things. And so that's why it's a complete mismatch in our communication. All right. So this is how you want to get an easy way to get into people's DMs. All right. So now I will tell you this. Let's say you're in somebody's DM. So I put out this post that says, hey, free download, how to buy a home in the next 28 days without putting any money down. Do you want a copy? Let's say Heather says yes. I say, Heather, just check your DMs. Now Heather's in the DMs with me, right? So I'm chatting with Heather. We're chatting about buying a home in San Diego. We're chatting about leaving Crested, Butte, Colorado, where she used to sell, now in San Diego. We're chatting back and forth. And then finally I start asking Heather questions, and Heather's like, this is actually getting to become a more like in-depth conversation. Just know this, you're never going to send somebody a DocuSign on DM. A DM is only the start of a conversation. So the key for us is to transfer them to a serious platform. So you want to take people from LinkedIn DM, Instagram DM, Twitter DM, Facebook DM, and you want to convert them to email. You want to convert them to a phone call, or you want to convert them to a Zoom call. And what you would say is, hey, Heather, it actually may be easier if we could spend 2 minutes on the phone and I can break down the 3 things that we all need to know to buy home in today's market. There's no pressure. You can even call me when you're driving and I'll break it down for you. I'm trying to get a phone call. Now it makes sense because I've gone back and forth with Heather on DM. Heather knows like I'm not a psycho because I've helped her, and now she's asking me a tough. Well, I don't know whether she knows that I'm not a psycho, but like she's not offering me the Cheetos yet, so I'm not sure, right? But now she knows. But at least I didn't say immediately, do you want to get on a call or here book a call? Only when the conversation gets to a point where you're like, hey, I've had a couple of chats and I feel like there's some rapport. Now you can say, cool. Can I transfer them out to a different platform? You don't want to transfer them out right away. The average agent mistake is this. The instant you're like, oh, cool, thank you for signing up. Do you want to jump on a call? No, I don't want to jump on a call. You want to continue the conversation back and forth in quick little bits so that they're like, oh, okay, this person's normal. And then when they ask a question like, hey, what areas do you think are really good in San Diego? Well, I can't just answer that. That's weird. I need to have a different conversation. So they're like, hey, that's kind of a complex question, but I'm sure we can solve it in a 2-minute call as opposed to a 2-hour text storm. Can I just call you and you can actually call me when you're driving? My favorite thing to tell people is you can just call me when you're driving. It'll be super easy. Now it dramatically reduces sales resistance. All right. This is important. If this makes sense, can you just put a DM in the chat that makes sense? I'm like, all right, I know that you got the way to get to DM and move away from DM. All right. Super cool. Awesome. So you may be like, all right, Sharon, by the way, I'm going to give you the slides. In fact, I will, David and Heather will actually send this to you. But while I have you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a way to, I will drop, where's mine? I will find these before we are done today, and I'll give you the slides. All right. So here.
Ron, do you mind if I share something real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, if there's anybody here that is a part of the Overthinkers Club, like I am, what's really amazing about everything that Sean is sharing with you is that you don't actually, the less that you think about these posts and the more simple and straightforward you make them, the better they perform. Like it is like the dumbest questions that do the best. It's really amazing.
You're so on point, and it's like it actually totally blows my mind that that's the case. So I actually have all the slides. I'll give you all the slides right now. Social media money machine. I think I have all of this here. All right, cool. Copy. All right, now that you are here and enter, I think that should work. If you can just, someone can click on that and say you got it, that would be really good. So I know you got it, right? Okay, cool, awesome. So got it, awesome, super cool. So before if you've ever, I see this happen in real estate conferences a lot. One speaker will go on stage and say, let me give you a secret script to activate your database. And then literally I look at my Facebook feed and 972 agents would have posted the same exact thing. Like, please don't do that. All right. What you should do instead is do something a little different. I'm going to give you a lot of options. Pick one of these options. So now we have one of several to post, so that everyone's not like, oh, great, you jumped on a thing with Sharon, right? At what age did you buy your first home? Oh my gosh, like that. It's so funny. So here are a couple of winners. Tide Riser. These are funny ones. These are actually proven ones, right? Who gets a lot of emails from realtors? It's actually a pretty funny one. True or false? True or falses are really good, by the way. Hitler owned a Hollywood mansion. And you say no cheating because they're going to go actually look for it. By the way, the answer here is true. Hitler did own a Hollywood mansion, which I think is very interesting. Tide Riser, true or false? The US bought Alaska from Russia, and I say no Google allowed. So now it's like a game, right? When you say, by the way, I've tested this post. When you say no Google allowed, or when you say no cheating, those actually perform significantly better than when you don't put them on. because it makes you more human, which is a really good thing, right? This is actually not bad. You can actually, anytime you want to use these, not anytime you want to use these right when the mortgage rates are active conversation. So right now they're talking about rates, etc., right? Anytime Fed's talking about rates, that's when you want to use the post. When it's a random Wednesday and no one's talking about mortgage rates, don't use the post because it's not in the trending conversation. So it makes no sense. All right. Who owns an Airbnb? You saw this one. Who owns an Airbnb? This is a good one. This is a good one. Unlimited budget. What is your first home renovation project? If you think about it, I'm not trying to do anything. I just want engagement, because when I get engagement, I get DMs, right? And I get to do cool things with it. I like this one a lot. We started investing in multifamily. So who is investing in apartments or multifamily? David's investing with us. Multiple people are investing with us. Who is investing in multifamily? So by the way, if you want to invest in multifamily, hit me up. Happy to tell you what I'm thinking about. But who's investing in multifamily? You may get 10 yeses. Who cares? But now you have the ability to say, hey, what are you investing in? Now you can create a DM-based conversation, right? This is, if you're going to do this one, have you ever flipped a home? The folks that understand it. The folks that don't. You can also do if you know, hashtag. They were like, oh, now it gets fun and interesting, right? You always just want to be human, which is a really, really good thing, right? Which real estate app do you use the most? I guarantee you this will blow it up. You will get hundreds of comments. Mainly it'll be Zillow and Redfin, but you will get hundreds of comments. By the way, if you're an agent and you've got your own branded app and you think your own branded app is going to do better than Zillow, I love you. I'm telling you right now, you're wasting your money. When people wake up in the morning, they're not thinking, oh, let me go use Sharon's app. That app is built for your ego, right? They're going to use Zillow only. And Zillow is a $10 billion company. Their innovation, they have a chatbot right now. You can never beat that. But instead, get in the slipstream of the conversation. Sorry, David, like this, I just get, when agents tell me stuff like, oh, I got my own branded app. I'm like, why are you wasting your money? Like, there's zero reason for that. I know you'll feel better about yourself, but like, I know the 17 of your clients are on the app and you think that's true, but they would have called you anyway, right? Let's figure out how we can get the other people into the conversation. All right. So I got you 9 ideas. It's actually in the PDF. So pick one from these and start trying it. But the interesting part is you want to use a tide riser first. You want to use an overachiever second, and then you want to use the hand raiser third. If you do it in the wrong order. So if you actually did I just created a PDF on the 10 best areas to live in Denver, literally you're going to get crickets because you've not done a tide riser first. You've not done a warm-up first. You're literally going straight for the let me ask you out line at the bar, right? You don't want to do that. You want to at least like look at him or her and smile or something. That's the tide riser. Okay. All right. So we talked about 3 things. Thing number 1, we talked about priming the algorithm. Thing number 2, we talked about sliding into DMs. And thing number 3, we talked about transferring out to a serious platform. So overall, which one was most interesting for you? Number 1, how to prime the algorithm. Number 2, sliding into DMs. Or number 3, transferring out. Which one is like the most, like you're like, okay, that's cool. I can get behind that. Marianne, you're funny. 1, 2, 3. That's good. All of the above. Frozy, come on. I appreciate that. Very cool. All right. Super. This is a good point to pause. We have a few minutes. What part of that kind of stood out for you? If you have any questions, pop in the chat. Heather, David, and I can take a stab at it and see how we can be helpful. So if there's a question or a thought or a highlight or a feeling that came to mind, just pop it. And then I'll also I'll make sure you get a copy of the slides one more time. But what popped into mind? If you have a question or a thought, or are you good to go?
I have a question for you, Sharon. Have you seen any bad tide risers?
Yeah. Whenever you use jargon, it's like, for example, we saw a tide riser yesterday, right? Which was if you are a seller, then the buyers are not going to like your house if it's not remodeled. I'm like, well, that makes no sense. Like, who is a seller? Who's like, so don't assume anything. When I you want the test for your tide riser has to be a billboard. I need to be able to look at it and understand exactly what you're asking instantly. If there's jargon like, hey, not on the MLS, message me for more, I don't have any idea what that is. Right? Instead of saying pocket listing in Broomfield, Colorado, you would say secret home for sale in Broomfield, Colorado, message me for details. Right? A big thing that we want to figure out is you got to eliminate all jargon. Because as soon as you put jargon, there's this phrase that my coach uses all the time, David. He says, a confused mind stalls. So when I see something that I don't understand, I instantly freeze or I swipe. So you want to make it so simple. That's why billboard, I love, you want to learn to write better copy, Google best billboards and look at all the billboards and literally match those 4 to 8 words, because they have figured out if that billboard works, they have figured out why that's so important. Billboards are the best. I'll show you something.
I love
I
it.
have this book, right? It's called Copy Slack. I don't think you can find it online. I bought the entire book is just headlines, copy, leads. So I literally would be like, I'll pick one. So check this out. Even if you're distracted, under pressure, or playing a tough course in bad weather, you can call exactly where the ball will land. This is like a golf headline. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So I can play with that a little. So I look at a lot of this for inspiration. The ideas are, you don't want to create copy. You don't want to create ads. You want to assemble what's already been done before, which is why I gave you all the swipe file, right? Ms. Hannah says, should we time block to track what we are posting? Are there ever too many posts or stories? Good, awesome question. Should you time block? I wouldn't time block. Your job is to, this is what you should do. If I were you, I would do this. I would post a tide riser. I would let it run for 24 hours. Generally, what I do is I want to get at least 50 comments. If you don't get 50 comments, your tide riser was bad. Try another tide riser. Get 50 comments. If you don't get 50 comments, try another tide riser. Till you get the 50 comments, your tide risers are bad. If you use one of the tide risers I gave you, I guarantee you'll get 50 comments. Then you post something overachiever, or you can post a hand raiser. But do not post something without posting a tide riser. If you have a listing video that you want to showcase, or a Matterport tour, or you have a new listing coming up, or whatever, post a tide riser first, and then post whatever else you want people to see, because more people will see that because you've warmed up the audience. Hassan says, can you please mention why you suggest text DMs over video DMs as well? All right, so it's weird. So if let's say I make a post, right, about I don't know who owns an Airbnb, and Heather comments on it. Hey, I'm thinking about buying one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to comment on Heather's comment saying, oh my gosh, Heather, I may have a good idea for you. I'll send you a DM right now. Right now, Heather is like, okay, he's not creepy. He told me that he was going to do it in public, and he's going to now go do it. So now I message Heather, hey, Heather, it looks like you're interested in Airbnb. I came across 3 properties. Are you cool if I share them with you? I asked her permission. Heather's like, oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Now I can send a DM and be like, hey, Heather, I'm actually at one of the Airbnbs right now. Let me show you what it's like, and I'll then give you the PDF about it. Now that makes sense, right? You don't want a DM cold with video. That's weird, freaky. Like, think about it, just strange. That's like someone just showed up at your house. That's just strange, right? Instead, you're starting the conversation, and when it gets to a point where it warrants a video, warrants a JPEG, warrants a Jiffy, warrants some other medium, then utilize that. Otherwise, stay in DM-based conversations, because it's easy to go back and forth with it. Just be cool. Like, the cooler you are, the easier it is to handle. Like, just be cool. All right, we'll do one more question or thought or idea.
So we have a question in the Q&A. Do you recommend using this strategy on a business page or a personal page?
Okay, good question. My suggestion, what I have found, and I'm a one-person opinion on this, is whatever I do on my business page, I like to share it to my personal page. But what I do on my personal page, I don't like to share it on my business page. So if you do something real estate related on your business page, then share it to your personal page. That makes sense. But you will get more engagement. Take Facebook, for example. you will get more engagement on Facebook on your personal profile than you will on your business profile. It guaranteed, because those people know you and they're connected to you. All I do is I mark my posts public so that anybody can see them, right? Second, if you're on Instagram and you have a separate Instagram profile for your business and you have a separate Instagram profile for you personally, just as my personal opinion, you should combine the two. You should only have one profile on Instagram, and it should essentially be, the real Heather Connor or whatever it is, right? And you're done. Put everything on it, everything, because that is your life. Why are you separating your life? Be you. Show the richness of you, show the depth of you, show all of it. That way, before you post a piece of content, you're like, should I put this as a story on my personal page? Now you're overthinking everything, right? Just make it really easy on yourself. And then you'll start to see which posts perform and which don't perform. But I will tell you, your personal profile on your Facebook page will perform significantly better than your business profile, unless you have tons of followers. Like, I have a decent sized business following. I literally get no traction on my page. That's also probably because I don't engage with it as much, but I get a lot more action on my personal profile. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Hey, before we go, can I tell you this? Heather and David do not need to do this. They do not get paid to do this. They do this because they want to contribute and share and make our world a better place. They want to build great relationships with a lot of friends who are on the call. They want to give back to the community. They want to sharpen their tools. They want to, perfect their craft. And the world needs a lot more of Heather, David, and the GoodLife crew. So can we just give like a little 5 on the chat for like a little wave to Heather and David for just doing this for us? That would be awesome. Cool. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon, for being here. We appreciate your time. We really do.
Got it, man.
We
It's super fun.
appreciate it so much.
It was super fun.